Hi, this is Mauler Mike coming to you from the south side of Des Moines at the AOFFL Films headquarters, bringing you this week's Who Dat. This week we're not going too far away. We're just hopping a few blocks away to the last remaining covered bridge in Polk County at Easter Lake to interview Mike Green, the founder of our league and the owner of the Mighty Maulers. Welcome, Mike. How are you today?
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Mike, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about your history in the AOFFL?
My history in the AOFFL? Well, I invented this shit, so we don't have time to do my history in the AOFFL. Let's suffice it to say that in 1977, I put together a group of people. We played around with football pools and rotisserie football for a couple of years before we actually started drafting. In 1987, 10 years later, we actually started a perpetual league with keepers and a full draft the way we do it now. So that's pretty much my history in the AOFFL.
Who would you say is your favorite Mauler player of all time?
My favorite Maulers of all time? Well, the list is immense. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to give you two of my best players, and then I'm going to also give you my favorite.
Barry Sanders was a mauler and never anything else in the AOFFL. He had a Hall of Fame career and was a threat to go the distance anytime he touched it. He was one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, which made him fun to watch, especially on Thanksgiving. He was never the best fantasy running back, though, because he played on the Lions, and the Lions perpetually suck. LaDainian Tomlinson, on the other hand, was one of the greatest fantasy backs of all time. He scored 31 touchdowns one season, and he had 121 in the 6 years that he was a Mauler. So he was a stud. But my favorite Mauler player of all time is Jason Elam. The Maulers have always put a premium on kickers, and Elam was our guy for many years. He kicked in Denver, we had a cannon of a leg, and he always seemed to provide the points I needed to win. He did also play on all three of my championship teams, so Jason Elam's my favorite.
Well, Mike, after all of these years in the AOFFL, who would you say is your biggest rival?
My biggest rival in the AOFFL? That's an easy one. Steve Wald of the Donkeys.
Yeah, Steve Wald and I have known each other forever. We played high school football together, and we ran in many of the same crowds. He's a charter member of the AOFFL, and he and I have been staunch rivals since the very beginning. We're in the same division. We have opposite philosophies on players, so we're not afraid to swap ideas. I talk to Steve pretty much every day during football season and several times a week during the off season. We're friends, we're rivals, and the Donkeys suck.
Mike, through these interviews, I keep hearing about the hijinks and pranks that happen on draft day weekend. Why don't you tell us about your favorite draft day weekend prank?
Best AOFFL prank. Well, I would have to say one of the best pranks was, probably about 10 years ago. Somebody hacked into the Violator's personal profile page. They changed his logo to a penis-shaped, rainbow-colored lollipop, and they changed his team name to the Molesters.
That's a good one.
It was funny. The Violators, they got their panties in a bunch. In his capacity as the commissioner, he stood in front of the league. He ranted, he raved. He threatened to call the CBS Sports Line police and find out who did it and get him banned from the league. So, meanwhile, while he's doing all of this, he opens up his computer again, and he had already fixed his profile page. And in the meantime, those pranksters had gone in and they'd changed everything back again. Oh, I thought that the Violator's head was going to explode. It was the funniest damn thing I've ever seen.
Now, who would have done that to the Violator?
That's a really good question, Mike. I'm not sure that we'll ever know the answer to that.
Now wait a minute. Didn't you confess to all of this?
Yeah, I did take the blame for it, but somebody had to because the situation had to come to an end. The violators' mental health wasn't doing very well, and we didn't want the commissioner to be investigated for violations of security protocol. You see, had the people that hacked into the violators' profile page been bad actors instead of fun-loving pranksters, they could have deleted the whole league. So, to help put an end to this whole situation, I did, in fact, take the blame just so that the violators would have better mental health.
Along the same vein, what's your favorite memory of draft day weekends?
Best draft day weekend. You know, there's so many of them, but there's one memory in particular that I like. It was probably about 2013. The draft day weekend was coming to an end. It was time for the booze cruise. The sun was setting. The generals had pulled us into his favorite little secret cove on the north side of Lake Conroe. We got out in the cove, we played football, we drank beer, and it's just a very signature moment from draft day weekend. The draft day weekends are the best. They all have good memories.
Well, Mike, why don't you tell us something about yourself that maybe the other AOFFL owners don't know?
Something the other owners probably don't know about me. I'm a thespian. I've been a philatelist longer than I've been a fantasy football fanatic. And I was in the original movie of Gone in 60 Seconds. Not the one with Nicolas Cage, but the one with Steve McQueen.
Well, thank you, Mike. Hey, is there anything else you'd like to tell the guys in the league before we sign off?
Well, after all of the years, I've developed a lot of really good friends in this league. The friendships tend to endure because of the league. And even some of the guys that I've known my whole life, like Rick Jackson and Steve Wald, it gives me a chance to reconnect with them more than I probably would otherwise. So, guys, I love you. I love being part of this league. I hope everybody else enjoys it as much as I do. And I look forward to many years of being in the AOFFL.
Well, this has been unusual. I'm Mauler Mike. This has been Mike Green of the Mighty Maulers. Who Dat? Join us next week, and until then, peace out.